So thank you, everybody. My name is Peter Godman. I'm CEO and one of the founders of Qumulo. Can you hear me all right? All right, good. So I want to talk tonight about a couple of zeros. And I know what you're thinking. I read about Qumulo, and I think there are 3 founders. But actually, this is data zeros we're talking about. We live in a digital age, right? So everything that we do today is digital. All of the masterworks of our age will be digital. Our Odyssey, our Iliad, our Beethoven's Ninth, our Mona Lisa will be digital. And, oh my God. Okay. And beyond that, possibly a lot of it will be frivolous. So it's not all great stuff. And what we tend to do as humans is create many, many copies of stuff that isn't all that great. And we never really know what we're going to need, so we never really throw anything away. So there are probably billions of copies of this across the internet, but I don't really know which one I'm going to need in the future, so I'm going to just hold on to all of it. It could be the pink one this year. Who knows? And it's not just this year. It's forever. So I probably have 1,000 photographs of my parents, and I probably have 100 photographs of my grandparents. Probably got 10 of my great-grandparents, and I think I might have 1 of my great-great-grandparents. By contrast, I'm going to give, or bequeath, I guess, to my son probably 10 to 20,000 pictures of myself, and my hunch is he's going to give 100,000 to his kids. And they're either going to hold on to them forever, or they're going to get rid of some stuff. And it's not just me. This is everyone on the planet. It's starting with people in this room. My hunch is that everyone here has a way of creating tons and tons of content and holding on to it forever. There's people in this country, and pretty soon it'll be everyone in the world. Now, okay, it's just a little thing, right? It's just a phone. It's just some photographs. Great. But not quite. I get all of my data onto my phone using Dropbox, and I get a lot of my data off of my phone using Dropbox. And Dropbox is gracious enough to store that for me in, I believe, AWS. I have no proof of that. I don't know if they talk about it. But and Amazon is gracious enough to make sure that I can get to my cat pictures no matter what happens. Whether it's the destruction of an entire continent or who knows what, all of that data is going to be there for me when I need it, which I find immensely reassuring. And I take that data and I put it back on my laptop along with backups of my mobile devices because, of course, and I don't really trust Dropbox, so I have a machine at home that is a subscriber to my Dropbox account, and it makes a copy of all my data so that I have instant access to cat pictures when I'm at home. And it could be the case one day that I drop this laptop off the edge of the stage and I need to get it back really quickly, so I better make a backup of that too. I'm not sure whether Dropbox really trusts Amazon that much, and I have no idea whether they back it up, but it wouldn't at all surprise me if they did. And when you look at this in summary, my photographs sit probably on 14 spinning drives around the world and 3 SSDs in addition. Seems pretty efficient, right? But it's all good stuff. Everything I have on my drive is good stuff. So I got all these photographs. Those are great. I've got a bunch of RIP movies. Don't tell anyone. And I've got some Qumulo data. I'm ashamed to admit now it's dwarfed by the rest of my digital footprint, source code, the backups that I previously described, virtual machines, etc. So it looks like a lot of stuff. But here's the rub. Storage is free, right? Why? I don't want to throw stuff away. This stuff's free. I already paid for it. It's great, so I can just kind of keep racking it up. I think I have a 250 gig Dropbox account, so that's exactly what I do. But it's not really true. By 2020, we'll create about 40 zettabytes of data per year. Oh my God, look at all those zeros. So how do you kind of understand the scope of the data that we're going to create and store forever and ever and ever? This is kind of hard to read, but the right-hand side of that is an exabyte. That's a coal-fired power plant. The left side of it is the number of coal-fired power plants that we would need using today's technology to represent all that data, 40,000 coal-fired power plants. The right-hand side, which isn't showing quite right, oh, that's kind of tough. So it takes about an hour to manage a terabyte of data per year. So I want to hold on to a terabyte of data. I'm probably going to spend about an hour working on that. And then, so that results in 40 billion human hours of labor spent per year managing that data. That's a lot of time. It's letting me down here. If you imagine that if all the world were photographs, and the photographs are 10 megabytes apiece, and you imagine that the population of the Earth is $4 to $8 billion, then in the middle of this you have approximately 6 zeros of stuff. And that stuff is a bunch of files, it's a bunch of duplicates of files, it's a bunch of slightly different files, right? So I told you I was telling you the story of 2 zeros, and these are the 2 zeros that we care about. There's no reason to store all of this stuff. Our opportunity is to take 2 zeros out of this equation. And 2 zeros, that's not a lot, right? Well, if you take 2 zeros away, that's a 100x reduction in the data footprint of the world, the number of power plants, and the number of hours that we spend maintaining all of this data. That's what we do at Qumulo. I want to thank you for listening and invite you to flag down someone from Qumulo to talk to them about the next stage in your career. And if there are any questions about my very general topic, I'd love to hear them. So the question I anticipated, what do you do? So the first thing we do is we don't talk about what we do very much yet because we're still sort of under the cloak. But we're tremendously excited to talk to you about what we do in person. So come flag me or another Qumulon after the presentation, and I'm sure they'll give it all away. Oh, yeah, so Qumulo was founded in 2012. We raised $27 million in venture capital in 2012. We presently have about 55 people in the company. Yeah, so my central why, what gets me up in the morning? I love technology. I honestly, that's the thing that's gotten me up every morning for the last 20 years. More than anything else, I just have a personal love of technology and building amazingly cool stuff. I learned a few years ago that that in and of itself wasn't a sufficient reason to get up in the morning because people have to love it. You know, it has to be stuff that people want. And I was an early employee at Isilon, and the third part of that stool is it's got to be with people you love. So when you net it out, it's building cool stuff that people love with friends, and that'll get you up every single day of your life. One more. Oh, one more. Yeah, so the question is, are you a storage company? And the answer is yes. Thank you.